So hello and welcome to the channel, welcome to another Assetto Corsa Competizione video. We're here at Spa and we're not just getting it right, we are getting it wrong as well. A lot of these times we produce these videos with outstanding laps, but you just don't see what goes into them behind the scenes, the number of laps that some people put in to hit these amazing lap times. Don't get me wrong, we're not going to be smashing any amazing lap times during this session, but we are going to at least be hitting a 2:16.5 around Spa in the McLaren. And I have emphasised, I've spoke to a number of people, I do think the McLaren is still very much probably one of the best cars in Assetto Corsa Competizione right now. It just seems to be able to handle a good amount of grip and a low amount of downforce at the same time. I have been running this car at a number of circuits just recently. I think purely because I wouldn't say it's overpowered. It is overpowered, but you are at the mercy of other people driving a faster car than you, and you're almost giving yourself the unfair advantage of not driving the fastest car, which does seem crazy sometimes. And sometimes I probably don't need the extra speed, but every now and then you come across other drivers that are just as good as you and they are setting very similar lap times, and you can have some fantastic races in the McLaren with other McLaren drivers. Don't get me wrong, I have had some good races with other drivers in other cars, especially at circuits like Monza, where you've got cars like the BMW, the Mustang, again the Aston Martin, that do well at circuits with, I guess, high top speeds and less need for downforce through the twisty stuff. I mean, when I guess you've got a fair advantage or the cars are similar. But we're going to look at, let's come on board with one of the laps, because I'm going to talk you through setting a lap like the 2:16. And we're coming along. We have set a number of laps during this session. Let's just jump to one of the fast laps near the end here, and we'll come on board. And I'll try and do this as I did last time. I'll bring up the hood as well. And we'll just pause it in a few key areas. So coming off the last corner then through the bus stop, and obviously you can see on the traction control I've dropped it down to TC1. It will fluctuate between 1 and 5 during this session. The brake balance will remain the same. So accelerating up to the line here, back to TC5, you can see I've just turned it on the dashboard. And we're looking on the left hand side here for this 100 yard board. And we're going to brake almost like the cars alongside that. Obviously I've kept the car in a nice straight line during the braking phase as much as I can. I've scrubbed quite a lot of speed off, and we're going to have to start making the turn in. You can be a little bit tighter than this through this apex, but we're almost doing like a bit of a switchback so we can get the acceleration off the corner. Get the car nice and straight and then back to TC1. You can put the left curbs up onto the yellow sausage curb. Doesn't seem to impact too much. Coming down through our Rouge then, I like to take a little bit of this inside curb and try and get as tight to the inside right as I can through this corner. We're trying to make the corner as straight as possible. Tiny touch of curb. I'll probably accelerate up to around 253 kilometers per hour before I change up to 6th. Yep. And then it's just all about straight line speed. Obviously using 3 on the rear wing, we've got the benefit of having a little bit of good straight line speed. So again, we're looking to this 100 yard board, looking at the curb as well. And I tend to try and brake maybe 2 or 3 meters before the curb. You can brake at the curb, but I don't think it allows you to get the car slowed down enough to be on the throttle as sooner. It's rather get the car slower in, faster out. Because from here onwards, obviously you can see down the right hand side, I am starting to touch the throttle again here. Just a little bit of throttle, a bit of lift, and then back on the throttle again. If you touch this left curb here, I think it allows you to get the car, it starts to rotate sooner to get this next corner. And you can, as you can see, I've stayed almost flat through there. Back to TC1 on the exit, back to TC5. Braking at the curb on the left hand side here, trying to get the car slowed down. Try not to get it to over rotate too much into this corner, because then you'll start to scrub speed from the rear tyres. So very tentatively trying not to scrub speed. Back on the power. Few corrections here and there. Some people touch this outside curb. I haven't managed it on this one. I find it very hard to aim for this curb and get the turn in without scrubbing too much speed. And like I didn't do there, you don't want to touch that inside curb because it just scrubs speed. It feels like it's going to be quicker if you touch it, but you aren't. And then getting the car straightened up, try not to use too much of that. You can get a track limits penalty just there. Sometimes go up on the curb on the right hand side, I sometimes don't, but I try and get as far right as I can do before just touching the brake pedal, get the car to rotate as it starts to come in. Drop to TC1 because it's going to allow the car to rotate more on the exit. As soon as I feel like I've got the grip, TC1, and we're accelerating away, keeping that foot planted on the accelerator all the way around. Coming into this, I generally try and aim for the shadow that's coming across the circuit from the banner above. You could aim for the curb, but I think the curb's a little bit too late. So braking as we come into here, and as you come off the brake pedal, it smoothly starts to rotate the car. Don't snap off the pedal because you'll start to over rotate too much. Just smoothly off the brake pedal, but quickly, but not snapping off it, just smoothly off the brake pedal. And the car rotates much better. Squeeze of accelerator, back on the power again, let the car run wide, back to TC5. Get on the power as early as you can in this corner because it's all about accelerating from here onwards. You're definitely not going to take your foot off the accelerator all the way to the bus stop from here. So flat on the power, TC1, get the car rotating more. Least resistance. Obviously you can see we've got one more lap of fuel available. In fact, we probably won't make the next lap. So maybe 17 laps of fuel to get 4 laps in. And I like to brake just before this 100-yard board. In fact, well before the 100-yard board. It's like as the tarmac starts to darken, it's before that tarmac. I think if you've waited till you hit that tarmac, you're carrying too much speed and you'll probably run off. Getting the car turned in, touching this apex, and we're trying to make this corner as wide as we can to get on the accelerator. And then back to TC1 for the accelerating across the line. And I'm sure that was a 2:16.5. Yes. So there we go. And I was up on this lap, but I do run wide a little bit later into the lap. So we'll come back. I think we'll have to come back again. Just to look outside the car, I think. Let's see it as it moves. Just so you can see the placement of the car really. How much track we're trying to use. So right the way out on the white line. Getting the car turned in. Using all that exit. So I've just done a 2:16.8. So 2 good laps in a row here. I'll probably see myself up on my delta as we're coming down here. Taking a bit of the curb. Even touching a bit of this inside curb doesn't unsettle the McLaren. So braking just before the curb, if you ask me. I guess the 100-yard board is just before the curb. Coming across the curb, a little bit of curb on the inside to get the car pulled round. Using all that curb on the outside allows you to keep full throttle almost all the way through there. Keep the car rolling as we come through here. good acceleration off the corner. You can just tap that corner. Obviously we can use all the exit there, even outside the white curbs. Touch a curb. Probably not perfect there, not on the apex, but managing to keep full throttle. Just braking at the barrier or at the sign going across the circuit. Little touch of inside curb. Again, touching the inside curb. Flat on the power. And on the power as soon as you can through that corner. Tiny touch of inside curb. You don't really want to go up on the slanted section of that curb. And then it's just all about straight line speed here, keeping in TC1 through this corner. Don't want to get any infringement from the traction control. And then braking just before the tarmac starts to darken. Get up on the inside, touch a curb on the inside, and accelerating across the line for a 2:16.5. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Hopefully you find the setup useful. Hopefully you find the tips in the video useful. If you do have any comments, please do put them in the comment section. Please remember to push the like button, and if you haven't got that bell pushed, you could do that as well. It's going to be a while before my next video. Loads of work lined up for myself on the run up to Christmas. I'll be away again over Christmas as well. But yeah, definitely more stuff coming to the channel. A number of other setups I've been working on in the McLaren. Hopefully Assetto Corsa Evo doesn't impact the channel too much. I'll probably try and put a small amount of comment from the game on when it launches through into next year, maybe as we come into December. But probably for the most part I'll be away working. But if you have got any comments, please do put them in the comment section. And until next time, as always, ciao for now, or arigato. I guess before we go, we ought to look at the setup. So just look into the time trials so you can see, obviously there is probably a little bit more time in the setup, not too much, but I'm sure there's a faster lap in there. But let's quickly look over this setup that we're using. Just adding a little bit of toe at the rear, negative toe, just to get the car to rotate. And again, caster, you could probably use it all the way down here if you feel like it's too heavy on the wheel, and it probably wouldn't have a massive amount of impact. Or you could even add a little bit more, just to add a little bit more weight to the wheel. Obviously tyre pressures will be in accordance with track temperatures. So currently 19 Celsius air temperature, 27 track. Traction control, as I said, I'm flicking between TC5 and TC1. And the fuel, like I said, maybe put 17 litres in to get 4 flying laps. Again, it's just the meta setup really, using no really soft setup for the suspension. Lots of range so that the suspension's got a distance to travel, especially through the likes of Eau Rouge. Obviously you can still hear it does scrape through Eau Rouge. Not sure how that would be over a long distance race. Again, loads of rotation in the slower corners with the preload being down. But again, this car does accelerate quite a lot. There is quite a lot of oversteer on corner exit with the traction control on 5, so having a low preload will certainly help there. Again, just a meta setup through the dampers, and probably where it all happens on most of the setups really is on this page. These have the biggest impact on how the car performs. I have tried it with another click of rear wing just to add more stability, just ends up slowing the car too much. Too little rear wing and the car rotates too much for me. 3 is a very fine balance in this car, I think. There's a big difference between either side of 3. And that's the setup. Thanks for watching. Arigatou gozaimasu.